What's going on, guys? I'm Divide, and today we're revisiting the Hunter Void Invisibility build in Destiny 2 Season of the Lost, using some of the new seasonal mods we got this season. Now this build is going to let you sneak around like some sort of ninja, and guys, I'm not kidding, you'll be able to stay invisible infinitely for, well, as long as you want, as you will get infinite melee and dodge abilities that you can chain. And not only that, but with this build, it is optimized for usage in endgame content like Master and Grandmaster Nightfalls. You can use this build as a team, as well as playing solo. There are a few different exotics and loadouts that you can use with this build, which we'll go through and break down soon. But guys, this video is sponsored, so if you're looking for some cheap silver on Steam for some of those new cosmetics, then you should check out Oea and use my code DIVIDE at checkout. But now guys, rate, comment, sub, and let's get into it. Now as always, like we do every video post intro, if you like these class builds and you want to see more, I do create new and updated ones weekly, and there is a playlist you can view below, which you can check out if you want. So with this build, you will be running around like the god you are, causing complete chaos. No, but I mean, you will have those invisibility smoke bombs that you can use for yourself and allies, which is great in all types of content. And if you're in a sticky situation where you're about to die, then you can just throw that smoke bomb and literally just disappear. So the build is pretty straightforward on how you use it. So in our test and loss sector here, the way you would use this in any activity is first go shoot some ads and do whatever you're going to do. Then when you're close to death, disappear by making yourself invisible, and at the same time dodge near an enemy to get that straight back. Then because you dodged, when you're ready to get back into action, kill an enemy, and that will spawn an elemental well. Pick up that well to become Charger Light twice, which will give you damage resistance and a bunch more awesome benefits. And then just repeat the same thing whenever you either need to become Charger Light or when you just need to get the heck out and run away. I also want to point out that if you just want to play the slow and safe game, you can make yourself invisible, wait for the invis to come back naturally, which will come back before your invisibility runs out. Deal some DPS on a boss, go invisible, and just repeat. And those enemies won't even know what hit them. It's actually kind of funny. Now you can use this build with so many different exotics and mods, so let's go through that setup and what I thought was the best for this build to use in all types of activities. Starting with that loadout, you want to make sure you have a mixture of different weapons that can stun champions. Your best choices are things like a Chroma Rush auto rifle for anti-barriers, a bow for overloads, and a pulse rifle for unstoppables. Then for your energy, you want to again have the same thing, where you can stun champions or deal with match game shields. Good choices are the Lorentz Driver, Ariana's Vow, the Wolf Tone Bow, or the Null Composure Fusion for dealing additional DPS. For your heavy, I'd keep a rocket launcher of each element for lost sectors to rotate the burn modifier, as this will deal insane DPS if you match that modifier. But another good choice for endgame is 1000 Voices. If you're using Lorentz Driver or Ariana's Vow, then use a rocket for your heavy. If you're using a Null Composure or any legendary, then use 1000 Voices. But remember that you need to make those adjustments depending on the activity and match game shields, as you don't want to use the same stuff in every activity. For the subclass, we have bottom tree Void Nightstalker Tether, which comes with Vanish and Smoke, where you basically just vanish in smoke. Anyway, this smoke bomb will give you a buff called Heart of the Pack, which grants you increased mobility, recovery, and resilience by plus 34. So when you go to max out your stats, don't fully max these out, because this buff will give you that plus 34 for each, which won't provide any benefit beyond 100. So if you have 100 stats, then this buff is going to be pretty pointless, and it'll just be a waste. But with this, we do have the lockdown, where grenades last twice as long, and combat provision, where damaging enemies with those grenades grant melee energy, and making allies invisible grants you grenade energy. And you can chain these abilities with Omnioculus pretty nicely, but the dodge you'll want is Gamblers to instantly get that melee back whenever you use it, but you can use Marksmans if you prefer the instant reloads. Both are fine and shouldn't really matter, as you'll get your invisibility back before the current one actually runs out, so as long as you wait the full duration and stay invisible, you'll get that straight back. Moving on though, the exotic we're using is the Graviton Forfeit. Pretty straightforward, it improves invisibility. The alternatives are Sixth Coyote and Omnioculus. Both are great, but I'd use Omnioculus in team activities like Master Nightfalls or GMs. But if you only care about yourself, in a nice way of course, then go with Graviton Forfeit for that solo play. Now before we mod the gear out, I will point out that the build setup remains the same regardless of what exotic you choose. So just move some of the mods around that you may need. With mods, Elemental Well mods are obtained from vendors at the helm, Charger Light mods are found at Gunsmith and Ada 1 at the tower, and all other mods like Holster mods or Scavenger mods are usually found in activities like Nightfalls. So going with Graviton Forfeit, it will increase the duration of any invisibility effects. While you're invisible, your melee recharges faster and your weapons reload faster, as well as your recovery being greatly increased. You can get this from Zer on weekends if he has it available, which he did have last week I believe, or you can find it as a random World Exotic drop. Now the mods we have for the helmet are Reaping Wellmaker to spawn Void Elemental Wells when getting a weapon final blow after using our dodge, which you should be chaining nicely with the invisibility, but we do also have our ammo finder mods for the weapon that you're using. If you're running double primaries, then run double heavy ammo finders, as this will help you a lot more, but honestly in my solo Legend Lost Sector run, I really didn't have any issues with heavy ammo spawns at all, so I feel one really is enough, but it is just RNG. Moving into the Gauntlets, we have our champion mods that you may need, so slot on the ones that you do need. If you don't need unstoppable fusions, then slot on Supercharge in Solar Armor for an additional 2 max Charge Light stacks, which will benefit our Charge Light mod later on. But for the chest, we are using Well of Tenacity to reduce the damage we take from combatants for a short period of time when we pick up those Void Elemental Wells we spawn from the other mod slotted in earlier, Reaping Wellmaker. With this though, we have our ammo reserve mods for our DPS weapon, and again, use double heavy if using double primary weapons. But for the legs, we do have of course Elemental Charge to become Charger Light when picking up those Elemental Wells that we do spawn. And I also forgot to mention, those wells will give you ability energy, so there really should be no reason to not get your infinite invisibility smoke bomb. But moving on, with Elemental Charge, we do have our Fusion Scavenger mod, but of course, slot on the Scavenger mod that you do need, so if you're not using fusions, then you wouldn't use Fusion Scavenger. And finally, for that class armor, we are using extra reserves, which will increase the chance for enemies to drop special ammo, consuming all stacks of Charger Light. But this only works when you're getting kills with void weapons, so if you're not using Null Composure or Lorentz Driver, then you don't want to use this mod, and instead replace it with Protective Light. Both are in the Void Elemental Armor for a cheap cost, so you can easily swap to both when you need to make that adjustment. Now Protective Light works in the same way, where it will consume all stacks to give you increased damage resistance against enemies when Charge Light, when your shields break, which is why you want that Supercharged mod, to increase that chance with the more stacks that we have. But anyway, with this mod, our last mod is of course going to be the top mod of the season, Particle Deconstruction, which will improve your fusion rifle's damage when damaging enemies with that fusion rifle. Works great with Null Composure, Lorentz Driver and 1K, but if you're not using fusions, then just replace it with something like a distribution for reduced ability cooldowns, or even a special finisher, as you will just go through ammo so quickly in harder content. But ideally with this build, you want to use fusion rifles in Season 15 to be the most effective for DPS in harder content, like Master and Grandmaster Nightfalls. For your stats though, you want to max out to around 70, mobility, recovery and strength, as you will get the remaining 30 with the invisibility effect, and you really only need it when you're invisible. But finally, this is what your artifact should look like, but it does change depending on the builds you're using. Now overall, this build is definitely one of the best builds in the game for PvE in Destiny 2 Season 15, and I'd recommend using it if you're having a hard time in Master and Grandmaster Nightfalls, as this should keep you and your team alive a lot more, and will also make it easier to run past adds in some activities where you may just get insta-killed, and if you don't need to fight some tough adds, then why not just run past them, right? Either way, this build is perfect for solo play like Solo Legend and Master Lost Sectors, Solo Flawless Dungeons, as well as endgame Nightfalls and Raids, where adds may kill you in just a few shots. But guys, that is all for this new updated PvE Hunter Infinite Invis build in 2021. Next, you should check out the playlist as always for more top fun builds to use in Destiny 2 this season. But for now, give this one a try, and do let me know what you think of this one down below. And guys, I'll catch you this Thursday for the next build. Stay tuned.